Hey everybody, I'm Will. I'm back again doing some more data prepping challenges here for you today. So we've got week 3. We're looking at Data School Bank. Got some work here to do in terms of formatting this data set. We've got 2 actually to work with as well. Okay, so first off we've got a file from week 1 of different transaction codes, and then we've got our quarterly targets, which is new for this week. As always, we've got a list of instructions to do. Essentially, in this case, we're going to do a bit of cleanup on both files, prepare them, and then we're going to join the 2 together at the end, and then tidy it up for an output here. As always, I've pre-downloaded the work. I've got my own folder. I've got an unprepped file, unprepped data folder I've got here with my targets. I've also got that week 1 file there as well. So I'm all set to go. And this week we're doing, as always, we're doing with Python, R, and SQL in that order. So I'm going to start up Python. So as always, I use Python. I use Visual Studio Code with a few Python plugins. I find this really helpful for me. I've already set up the file here with all these comments to tell me exactly what instructions I need to do at each point. So let's get started. So it's always import pandas and NumPy. I'm always going to be needing these packages for doing any data prep work with Python, so those are essential. But step 1, so I've got to input the data. So this is our typical assign a data frame to this from pandas we can find read CSV. Okay, so now I've got to add in this file path. One thing that I've got to be careful of here is understand where your script is going to be executed from. So at the bottom here is reading from my documents, this folder I've got called Preppin Data. So this is the start point. But as you can see over here, I'm in the Preppin Data folder. I've actually got to go into 2023, then Python, everything else. So my data set is in here in unprepped data. So that's where I've got to get to. So I'm going to make that file path from 2023 free and then // unprepped data, and then can I just rename this? Yeah, I can rename that, bring that back into /csv. Yep, and then print df. Just check that works. As always, I can just go and press play up here. That will go and find my installed Python, find the script, and then run that. So we can see just the bottom here, that data's come through, which is good. So that's my targets. So I'm going to give that a better name. I'm going to call that target df. So that will be target df. I'm going to do the same with week 1's data set. So copy and paste that. We'll call that transaction or transact df. So week 1, this is week 1 input. Okay. Just check I've got that one coming through. Okay. Okay, cool. So that's coming through. So I've got my transactions as expected. So now we can start on the first section. So for the transaction file, filter transactions to just look at DSDB. So from recollection from last time, the way we found out DSDB is associated with this transaction code, so just these ones. So the way we were able to identify them last time was by using, I think it was string split, and be able to split just this first section off so we could find out the different banks. So I can do that again. So I do transaction df. I'm going to make a new column for bank, which I'm going to do for transaction df dot. I want to take that transaction code. Let's make sure I spell this right. transaction code, and I'm going to do string split, and so the pattern needs to be, and then we wanted before was expand. I want that equal to true. And with this, so what this will do is expand and split out all these different strings. I just want the first one. And with Python, when you're doing indexes, it will be first one is always 0. It's sometimes a bit confusing, but that should come back as something. Okay, so yeah, so I've got now a column here for bank, so I can find those DSDBs in there. So what I need to do is now filter this data frame for that on that bank column. So if I remember this correctly, you were doing it's loc, df loc. Is that it? Let me double check. As always with this work, I'm always going to rely on Stack Overflow for just to check different things. Very helpful, even if you know what it is, you may find more efficient ways of doing things here. I've also got ChatGPT up just in case we need a bit of help or want to improve something. So if I go hyphen pandas, I spell it right. Pandas filter data frame. Yes, I'm not a robot. Of course, my spelling's appalling. Okay, yeah. It is in. String contains. This isn't what we want. Date. I'll go with this. There was something like loc. It's always what I think I've used in the past. Initial sum. Yeah, df loc. This is it. Yeah. Okay, transact bank. Df loc. Bank equals data school bank. Save that. Give that a go. Okay, yeah, so we can see that's working. So just skin data school bank coming back, which is what we want. Rename the values in the online and person field. Oh, okay. So this column again we need to rename, so 1 becomes online, 2 becomes in person. So how we did this last time as well was we took our data frame, we overrode that column, online in person, did that equals, so how we did this sort of if this then that or case expression or if else expression, so we did np where, so using numpy, using the where, first you get this condition and then you say if it's this then do that, otherwise do this. So in this case I want to take this column and just say is that with 2 equals equal to 1, then call it online, otherwise in person. And from working with this data set in the past, I know there's no other values other than 1 and 2, otherwise I might have to do a bit more work to handle that case, but this should be okay. Okay, and here I've just reassigned it to that column name online and person just to overwrite it with this information, so that's okay. Change the date. Oh, change the date to be a quarter. So we had issues with this one because it comes through as text. If I was say to print, I think it's info in this case. So there's a standard variable you can query with a data frame for info, and this, okay, not in this case. Maybe it's info with brackets. Yeah, so info with brackets here will tell you a little bit about your data frame. So essentially anything that's an object will be a text value, anything that's an int will be numerical in this case. So we can see our date here is coming back as text here in this case. So something we're going to need to fix. So effectively again, pandas as function for us, which can convert different dates to different strings to a date. So if I go and take this, what's it called? So transaction date. So transaction date equals PD to date time. I go and take this column, see how this goes. I remember last time, can't remember which ones, but some languages had difficulty with this date. Certainly SQL. Can't remember if it was R or Python. Okay, yeah, Python was good. Python was able we were able to convert that. That looks like a date function. So now I've converted it to a date. I need to go and change it to a quarter in this case. So let's go and make another column in this case. So I can go and take this. I'll go with quarter here. So I can go to date time. I can do my transaction date and do T. I think it should be one for quarter. Don't need the PD there. Let's see how that goes. Okay, great. Okay, and this has come back. Just give me the numerical value of the quarter, which is fine in this case. Sum the transaction values for each quarter and each type of transaction. Okay. Okay, so I can do this. Right, so transact df. If I remember correctly, this should be group by. Transact df dot group by. So I want to group by those two columns. So I want to group by online and person, and also by my quarters. Okay. I remember. So we did this, I think this was in week 1. Let's go have a check back. So week 1 we were grouping by this. Okay, and then we just need this separate part here. So I go and just snap this from the previous week. So removing the index and then something on a value. Okay, so I can just take this. This is the benefit for having like previous work done, is that you can always go and check back what you've done before. So I've got these two, index is false. I want to find that value, sum that value. So give that. Does that? Yeah, that looks all right to me. Give that, run that. Okay, so yeah, here I go. So I've got my type, and I've got my quarter, and I've got those values. Okay, so I've got that section done, which is great. So now I need to just do the targets file. Okay, so let's print the targets. Hit target df. see what the data is. Yeah, so it's this. It has the online in person. Then it has these quarters here. Okay, so pivot the quarterly targets so you have a row for each type of transaction in each quarter. Okay. Now, if I remember this, there is so pivot can be either two ways. You can be trying to make rows into columns that way, or you can be trying to turn columns into rows. In this case, we want to be columns into rows. In Python, you would be using something called melt, or I think there's unstack as well that you could try. So let's give these a go. So I've got target df, melt, melt. How do you melt it though? how do you melt this? Let's have a look. Python pandas. Yes, I'm not a robot. Opposite of melt. Okay. Efficient way to do these problems, multiple sets, wide to long. Does anyone try melt? Reshape. Okay, so there's pivot longer. Index names, pattern. Okay, this is using janitor. It's a different function. Sure. Okay, a lot of people are saying pivot longer. I'm gonna find one. Python and pandas and melt in this case. Okay, yeah, this is what I was looking for. So it's my data frame plus my ID column and then my values in this case. Okay, let's take this one. Target df. So my ID column in this case will be online in person. My value will be both these, I'm guessing. Let's run that. Okay, it's returned the same thing. In that case, do I need these at all? Let's go with that. Oh, I know why. Because so what I'm doing is doing this, but it's not assigning it to anything. So I need to go and put this back in. Of course, that. So reassign it to the target. Okay, cool. So that's coming back. I can now rename those columns as well. So I can target df dot columns equals person and then quarter and run that. Okay, so I've renamed those fields. Remove the Q. So get my target data frame. I then do quarter. Then equal it to dot string replace. Yep, string replace. Bracket. What's my string going to be? It's going to be Q. What's my replacement? It's going to be nothing. Let's see that. Okay, cool. So that's coming back. Works. Okay, so I've got that. So now what I just need to do is join these two data sets together. So I've got, you may need more than one join clause. Okay, so I can see here, I'm going to join on this and quarter. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to give this a different name. So I'm going to call this, instead of value, I'm going to call this target. The reason being is when you join the two, I don't want to have different names here. Save that, play that, just to double check that's okay. That's fine. Okay, so as we did before, I'm going to have a data frame. I'm going to take my transactions. Then we're going to do merge to this upper data frame, target df. So now we just need to do this on these two columns. So if I give a list, so it's going to be online and person and quarter. Yeah. Cut these out. These should be okay. Run that. Okay. Something's wrong with this. You try. Okay. This is it. You're trying to merge basically a numerical column and an object column. Okay. So if you wish to proceed, choose pd concat. So I can fix this pretty quickly. So I know if I had to do a string operation on this one, that quarter is going to be a string. So I can go and change this to that, and that's it. And let's type. Let's type and go int. Okay, so if I run that, yeah. Okay, so that's come through. That's working. So I've got different quarters, and I've got my different targets now coming through as well. Okay, remove any unnecessary fields. So those are going to be here. Online person, quarter. Okay, so it's quarterly targets, and then we're going to go and calculate variance. Remove unnecessary. So I think I've got that all okay. I'm just going to change this to quarterly targets. Targets. Okay. Yep, that one's fine. Calculate the variance. Okay, so I think in this case, so variance for me, I could think of things like standard deviation, but that I don't feel that's the case in here. So I just check some numbers. I think it's just the difference between those two columns. Yeah, so how far off were they from the target? Yeah, that looks right. So if I go make df variance and go df minus another data frame, so it's going to be okay, some of these cases, so it's going to be hourly target versus value. And then I'm going to move this down here. Let's run that again. Okay, so I did notice this when I had a look. So it looks like all of the data is completely negative in this case. Whereas they're getting values that are much higher. Okay, so that will come from transactions. Let me have a look at this transaction table again. So here are my transactions. So that's 8,000. Yeah. Okay, so not terrible, but they're quite different. So let's say it's online in person. So I got 47,000, and they have 77,000. Okay. Let me go and have a look up here. So there might be some difference in the dates when I create my quarter. So if I go and move my print statement there, I can filter for, say, I can do the same thing up here. So I can go and find when. So I can filter my result just for that first quarter, just so I can have a look. Quarter equals 1. And then I can just quickly do another filter, say online in person equals in person. Okay, so I'm just going to comment these out for a second. So, like that. So if I get rid of that, does that give me some correct values? No, it doesn't. Okay. Okay, I'm a little bit pondering why that's happening, why the numbers aren't matching up. I'm just gonna go. So looking at the quarters were fine. We were summing this value, which is what we want to do by online in person. Change the date. Some of the transaction were equal in person. Yep, that's right. Got this is right. Okay. We're matching these targets, they're coming through as expected. Okay. I'm gonna leave this for now. I'm just gonna proceed with it, see if I work it out on another challenge, but in the interest of time, I'll have a move on and we can have a look back at this later. So I'm going to take my data frame, print my data frame, and do df2 CSV, bracket, where do I want to put it? I want to put it in this folder here. So I need to go and 2023 slash Python slash outputs. What do I want to call it? I want to call it something similar. So PD 2023 week 03 output.csv, and then change this so index equals false. Okay, save that. Okay, so we've got my file coming out now, which is good. Yeah. Can have a look at the individual solution as well. Just have a look. Oh, there's no output then. There's no output file yet. Okay. We'll have a look at this in due course. But for now, call this our solution for Python. No, values are a bit off. I can't see where the issue is. Maybe you can. I feel like this is okay. Yeah, we've got everything, I think, right. So filter just DBS, which is fine. Rename these. Yep. Change date to a quarter. Some of the transaction values, which is working. Yeah. Each quarter and each type of transaction. Yeah. So this should be totally fine. Anyway, we'll call it there with Python. We'll jump into R now. So in R, I've done the same thing. I've got my libraries loaded up. I've got all the text, all the instructions I need to do. Again, I'm in the same folder, so I can find all these files again. So I can find my unprepped data here. Again, using RStudio because it's so good for R. I really enjoy this environment. So what I want to do is same again. So I want to go and say bring in those two data sets. So I want my transact df, which is now key enter read CSV. I want to read, first off, go and cheekily rename the file so I can find it. I want to read this file, but I also know that I'm going to be executing this from another place, from this prepping data folder, so I need to write that file path to get there. So 2023 slash unprep data. And then always strings as factors equals false. I think it should be okay. I think that should be by default now in this version of R, but you don't know. You never know. I could go transact df. We go run this. Okay, so yeah, so I've got that coming through, that's working. Just need to bring that targets file in. SDF. So week 3 and targets. Okay, for my transaction file, filter transactions, so just look at yes. Okay, I think again we had something like string split with R. So we need to take this transaction here, do $sign for the transaction code. Remember again that R likes to put these little dots where you have spaces in between different column, in between column names, string split. So on that thing, I want to split out that. I want the first one. Just check that's working. Oh, I remember this. So this was the issue. So we had this. It comes back as a list down each time. Remember there was one called separate. So separate data column into what you're separating on. Okay, so if I take transact df, I've got my column transaction code. Do I want to separate it by that? So how do we do it? Yeah, this is it. So last time I remember we looked a little bit at ChatGPT. We had the separate transaction code into bank, separate on that. Fix the data frame, so that and that. Come back down here, make that run. Transaction code not found. Okay. Okay, yeah. Oh, okay. So if you've all, okay, must have overwritten it already. So there we go. So we've got the bank there. We can now go and do track df. Go track df. Go filter track df on bank equals DSB. Okay, so if I run that, okay, so now we can just see those DSB values coming back. Rename the online and person field. Okay, so do my transaction. I will go with it's online and person, and then if else, take this online person equal to 1, then go, what was it? Online, otherwise in person. Okay, so is that? And can run that. Okay, so that's coming through as well. So that's all good. Change the date to be a quarter. Okay, so yeah, this transaction date. Remember, I think R had some issues with this last time. Dot transaction date. You can do add date. Yeah, this was it. So it kind of messed up. The way you get around this was by figuring out what to do with the format, so you can give a format of what date you're supposed to bring back. I did this last time, so I can find this to avoid the pain. So here it is. So this was this before. So find the days, the slash month slash year, give us cap, and then this worked. Okay, so that went and converted all my dates for me, which is great. So now I can go and change that to the transaction date. Okay. So do head, I can see that. That's come back as a date. Okay, now how do I get the quarter out? Is it date? Date. Okay, Stack Overflow. Extract quarter from date. Yes, I'm a human. Oh no. Yes, verify. Good, good. Um, okay, so you can. Oh, you can just find quarters. Nice. Important to get rid of that. You could use substring and get rid of. Yeah, nice. Okay, so we can take that and we'll go into R. So I can do transaction df quarter. It's going to be substring of my date, which is this thing. 2 and 2. Okay, we'll run that. So, okay, so now my text, my quartz is coming back, which is good. That's what I want. I'm gonna give this a capital Q, just because that will help with the joining later. Okay, so some of the transaction values for each type of transaction, online, in person. Okay, so transact df group by I want to group by, I want to have a list because I need quarter for sure, and I need online in person as well. Group by those two, and then do that pipe. Ooh. Do that, group by, and then it'll summarize. We'll call value. Ooh. Value equals sum of value. Okay, let's run that. Must be one must be size. What? One must be size 102 or 1, not 2. Okay, so I think it's complaining about this group by. Can we get away with not putting a list? Okay. Ah, is that okay? What is R doing? Okay. Oh, so it's just taking these as text. What was the original group by? So group by bank. Some. Yeah, it was fine. Why? Oh, so we had bank without quotes. Okay, so can I put this back in my list without quoting the names? Ugh, okay. Okay, we'll take away the list. Oh, come on. Right. Group by multiple columns. Group by multiple columns. Come on, not doing that. This one. Okay, Dave. So this looks more like they're trying to pivot data. Hmm. Okay. All right. How do I group by multiple columns? Aggregate a data frame. No! Come on. Oh. Uh, let's try again. One more time. Now, how do I buy columns? Aggregate a data frame. Yeah, I can use a group by. Deploy package, yep. If you want to group by, you would do come up library, yep, yep. Okay, group by here B, summarize that. Yeah. So I've got the thing right. So this should be okay. Yeah, group by that, summarize that. Okay, so must have been super close on something. I don't know why that wasn't working. So good. So value. Okay, that's good. We're back on track. Okay, transaction equals transaction. Okay, sum the transaction values for each quarter. So we've done that. So we've got that coming back. Okay, so we're okay with that. Now we just need to go for our targets file. And target df. Targets df. Okay, so I've got this situation where I've got these columns, I've got this. I need to pivot the quarterly target, so I have one row for that. So in R, this is pivot longer from tidyr. Let's pivot longer, take my data, my columns, names. Okay. So targets df. Column is going to be this. Let's see what that comes back with. Not anything I want. Okay, so it's gone and taken that and pivoted that, which is not what I wanted. So I want to pivot the other one. So I need a list, which is going to be Q1 to Q4. Okay, yeah, okay, so that's good. So there was options here for names, wasn't there? Names 2. I'm that quarter. Quarterly targets. Okay, I'm going to assume that doesn't work, but I can use this anyway. So I take this, cut that, cut that. So I can use this. So this will be this column, online in person, online in person. Of target data frame. This. I also need to do this for earlier. I need to go and change my target data frame to this pivoted version. So I need to just select this here. Okay, so doing this, target df will become pivoted, which I can check this. So that's pivoted, that's okay. I can then change the names of those columns to that, and we can check that. Okay, so the last thing I've got to do, remove the queue, which is straightforward. So if I take that column, targets df dollar quarter, and I go resum. So if I do gsub, like global substitutes, my pattern is going to be q, my replacement is nothing, and my column is this one. Okay, so that's there. That's that. Okay, so that's good. That's coming back. And yeah, we should be okay to join these on up. Okay, so join these two data sets together. Okay, so I've got down here, I'm just gonna go, it's a bit more room. So I go and say it's my data frame. If I remember before, I want to do an inner join. I have to declare the join I'm doing. Inner join, bracket, targets df, okay, and also transact df. So my transactions, so bringing these two together, and then this is going to be by, and I have to do this strange notation. C equals that. So I want to merge on this column and the quarter. So let's have a look in our data frame. Okay, that's matching across quarter. All looking good. Wait a second. So I haven't I haven't done this last bit, so this last bit hasn't saved across, so go and do that. Just check this is coming back as expected. So this should be summarized by quarter. Okay, yeah, that works. So now if I do this join, should work. On the quarter value, quarterly targets. Okay. So now, if I remove any unnecessary fields, it's quite hard. I think this is it. I honestly think this is it. Yeah. Unless I go names df. So find the column names of my data frame. Yeah, it's just these four. So that should be okay. Don't have anything to remove. Again, I just need to calculate the variance between these files. So if I do, this is before was the difference between these two columns. If I go df and then go df value. Oh, yeah, I can do the dollar notation. Df value minus df dollar quarterly targets, and I go in those little strange quotes, and I call this df dollar variance. What's that? So right now go have a look at that data frame. Let's have a look. So is this again? Is this right? Not ChatGPT. What? So let's have a look. In-person free. So free. So that one's right. Okay. Okay, that's looking good. That's looking fine. Cool. Okay, that's good. So if you're watching earlier, we know there's an issue somewhere with our Python code. Values weren't coming out correctly. So this is good to know that the solution is okay. We can get there. Okay. So I'm going to go and do names. And names of my data frame, I want to output it as they have. So names, I'm just going to go and what have they called these things? Online in person. So everything I've got minus the dots. They've called that variance to target. Variance dot to target. Yeah, variance to target. Okay, so what I did last time, which was sneaky, was I went and did my gsub of my names. I went here and did. I wanted to find any dots. I have to backslash it twice because to escape from it thinking that using the special character notation of dot. So in this, just a full stop will mean anything, any text of any text and a number, anything. So I don't want it removing everything, but I want it to just find those dots. So I can run this on its own. See if that works. Yep, that's okay. So let's run these two. Let's run this. Let's call my df. Online in person quarter value target, quarterly targets. Okay, and one more variance to target. Okay, that's good. So now I'm going to go and write this to CSV. So I'm going to write CSV df, and then my output is going to be for our 2023 outputs. Okay, so 2023. What am I doing? 2023 outputs. It was going to be our outputs slash pd 2023 week 03 underscore output dot csv names equals false. Yep, false. Okay, so that's come through there as well, which is all good. So that is all done. So tidy this up a little bit, and that should be all good. Okay, so that's 2 done. It's now over to the challenge of always doing this in SQL. So I've gone loaded these data sets into our Snowflake environment. I've had these from previous weeks, so I've got week 1 here, and I've got week 3 here as well. So those data sets have been loaded in. Please. Yep, so in there, so yeah, a lot of time in the queue. Okay, so for this, you're going to work slightly differently. I can't work down the line, so I'm going to need to just basically tidy these 2 tables up. So for the transactions file, I'm going to work with them separately, and then we know we're going to need to join these together. So I'll just comment out this one for this. You want to find where filter out these ones for the transaction code. So we can just use where transaction code like, and then escape code DSB like. And I can also do upper like this, just to make sure those are coming through as uppercase. Okay, so those are my transaction codes that are coming back, which is good. Yeah, rename value of online in person. Okay, so I'm going to use my case statement again. So case online in person, when one, then online, when two, then in person. End. That's online in person. Okay, that's that one. And run that. Okay, so that's coming back here. We can see online in person, which is good. Okay, change the date to be a quarter. So last time we had some right old fun with this. So this transaction date here, you can see it's coming through as text in Snowflake. We need to change this to a date. It was a pain last time. We had to do like a date from parts, make it look like a date, then change it. I have seen another way of doing it. So if I take my first, I would take my left, my transaction date. I take the first 10 characters as date, give that a comma. Okay, so this is now just, it got rid of the timestamp bit, we didn't need that. Now we should be able to say, just call this a date. Hopefully this will be okay. No, so that date is not recognized. So what we had to do was then add in our format. So you can add in here like a format, like so what we had for R, that's something similar. We can add in for this. So the formats I can put in as dd dot, no, it's not dot, it's slash. So I need to replicate that this date here using just text. So day, month, year. So should come back. So now this is being picked up, recognized as a date. I'm just really happy about that because the last query was horrible, horrible. So we can, from this, we can do a date part. Date part, and I want the quarter of this code. Run that. Yeah, so this is coming back. So this gives me those quarters. Cool. So that's got me those quarters. Sum the transaction values for each quarter and transaction type. Okay, so I can do now my sum of value as value. And then, because I'm doing a sum, I need to do group by. So you can add these things to a group by, or you can be incredibly lazy and go 1 and 2. And that will still work. Because, I mean, personally for me, I just don't want to write the case statement in there and then the date as well. I mean, you can use a bit of tabbing to make these look a little nicer, but it still looks pretty like a wall of text coming back at you. We can tidy this up later. We can make it more uniform for someone to recognize in the future. But for now, I think we're all good. So we sum those transaction values for my online and my online or in person, and by my quarters as well. We've got 8 rows coming back. That's all good. Okay, so let's do this next bit. So with the targets file, so if I go and comment out this bit for a second. Okay, now bring back my targets. So here we are again. So select star from targets. So here we go. So this is what we've got to fix. We've got to change this to not be to become a column rather than rows. So how do we do this? So I remember in SQL this is called something like unpivot. So a SQL unpivot. Yes, again, I'm not a robot. Unpivot multiple columns. Okay, that looks a bit intense. Unpivot table. Okay, so yeah, this is what we have to do. So you have your select from, and then you can do unpivot. You can select a column which you then retrieve from your unpivot. Let's copy something like this for now, and we can try and work this in. Okay, copy that. Bring that down to here. So I want to select my online and person. I want to keep that throughout. Online and person. I then also want to see my data. So they've got data from here. So I'm going to have to write. So unpivot bracket. Let's call it data for now. Data for header in Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. And then if I go and put data and header there, so these are just names. Let's run that. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so this is coming back. This looks what I would want it to look like. So I change header for quarter. Quarter, but quarter. Let's call this quarter as well. I'm gonna call this quarterly targets. Quarterly targets. I'm gonna move this about just so my quarters here, targets is there. Okay. Check that's okay. Yep, so that's coming back nicely. Nice, okay, so I can get rid of that. Last things we've got to do here. Remove, yeah, okay, so rename the fields, done that, so done the pivot, just need to remove that Q from the field. So if I go here and do my replace, what am I going to replace? I'm going to place Q on this column. I think it works like this. This column, Q, place with nothing as quarter. Okay, let's give that a go. Yep, that's going back okay. Let's make this nicer formatting. So move that to there, move that to there, and move that down. So I've got my two queries here. This all looks good, all looks nice. I've got this as well. Now I just need to join these two together, which is always the fun. So I've got these two. So what I want to do is, realistically, I can make my life this a lot easier than trying to think about how I'm going to handle this aggregates and everything else. What I can do is use a common table expression. I can go with CTE as bracket down here. I can go and put all of this in a common table expression. It's basically like a virtual table. It allows me to then query the result of this later in my query, which will be right here. So we'll do my unpivot, and then I'm going to do inner join on CTE. Yeah, CTE. I'm going to call this as T. So T. So I go T down here. T dot target there. Let's just, before I do the join, make sure that that is where you're going to put an alias when you're doing an unpivot. Yep. Okay, so that still works. You also notice that I'll query my CTE. I won't even reference it anywhere later, but it'll still run. So I've got my inner join on my CTE, and I'm going to do this on these two together. So T dot online in person equals CTE dot online in person, and I'll do this on start this equals CTE dot quarter. Now, will there be an error because SQL will say I can't put these two together? No, no errors, which is all good. Okay, so now I'm not retrieving anything back from my CTE, so I'm going to go and put this value CTE dot value in there, give that a comma, and I'm going to go press play on this. Okay, so I've got these two coming back, which is all good. I'm now going to do this last section. Remove unnecessary fields, it's fine. Calculate that variance, that difference to the target. So that should be straightforward. So ct.target minus quarterly targets as variance to target, comma there. Okay, so that's coming back. We can, as we were before, we can do that quick check. So yeah, I think this was our first line in that query. So it's 4,000. Yeah. So put in person quarter three, going back is 4,000. Okay. Okay, so that's good. So we know that that answer is correct. Okay, so yeah, pleased with that. So gone through, we've done this. When again, we're not going to do this output data. I could write a table, store this somewhere, but it would just take up space, and I'll just need to delete it later. But if I did, I would go create table output free as, and then execute that, and that would all be good. Okay. Okay, so that's the SQL part of it done. Now I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to Python and see if we can fix this issue with Python. So we've done it. We've seen in two other cases here where we can get the right result using these languages. So I want to check what's going on in this. So we saw that this was okay. So I was questioning whether DASB was going to be the right way, but that's fine. That worked in the R case. Online in person, that was okay. So we're doing one as online, that's right. It's possibly this. I just need to check what's coming back for these. So let's have a look. Let's use ChatGPT for this. So come down here. Pandas library. What is this? What is this code doing? access transaction date column. Yep. Daytime properties. Yep. This is okay. Pandas. Side. Starts. Ends. So, okay, so that's saying it's doing right. That's working as we would expect. I have a question would be this section. So let's go and print this. Let's see if at this, so we can just rule out anything else. So we can print at this stage. Does this give back the right values for our join? Okay. Okay, so that printed that. So online in person is 84 here, and here it's meant to be. So we'll check that. Online in person free is meant to be 84. Here it's 74. Okay, so maybe this group by sum is not working correctly. Then in that case, nope. Python pandas. How do I group by multiple columns to sum another column? Yeah. For example, if your data frame df, some of the values that column C, this would do, yeah. Yeah. Unique combinations, yep. Yeah. The okay. Let's go back to this. Okay, so we're slightly different. Okay, so we'll put that reset index at the end. So look. Some value. So instead of that, we're going to change this to some value and just do some. Okay, let's run this. Okay, so that's correct. So that's still working as before. So it's still returning 84 when we need 74 for here. haven't simply got it. No, I haven't got the wrong way around. So online is also wrong. Hmm. It's going to print it here. So let's go back and check. So 102 rows in this case. That makes sense. So I can compare this to what I've got with R. So if I basically just go and restart this, Control L, clear that. So I've got my transaction data frame. I then also can do this filtering, and then I can go in row df. Yeah, so I've got 102, so that's fine. That's what we need. So that's okay. Online in person for sanity. Yep, one is online. And here, yep, one is online. Okay, so these first few lines are okay. Transaction date to this. Okay, so I'm gonna print here. This is where I'm next suspicious that something hasn't gone right. So transaction date. So I'm going to call this transaction date as a date. Transaction date as a date. Just to so I can check whether that date is converting correctly. Give that a run. Oh, great. Okay. So it's not printing what I wanted to print. No worries. I can do this, so I can bring back these. Cool. Okay, so yeah, those are converting right. It's quarter four. Yeah. Wait a second. Okay, so this is the issue. So sometimes, like here, so the 10th of this date is sometimes going to a completely different date. Oh god. Okay, so there's where my issue is. So I just need this. So my to date time needs a particular format. Right. I guess once again, I am a human. Yeah. Okay. To date time as date. Day first. Yeah. This is what I want. I want this format coming through here. Okay. I'm feeling better about this now. I'm so close to there. Right, let's rerun this. So can I do that? So we've got to data remains unconverted. Okay, so we can do. Can I get away with just doing capital year? wants me to do date time part as well. Okay. I would never have guessed that it was I, M, and N, P for minutes, hours, minutes, seconds. Okay. Right. I'm just going to go and take a substring of this now. Substring column. It's based on the column length. Okay, can I see? Yeah, be this x dashed 4. So would this be 2 to 10? Or would it be? I think it's 211, so it's not 2 and including the last one. Data remains unconverted. 10. Unconverted. Okay. Let's go here. Let's see if we can find date, time, format, time, format. Okay. Pandas, Python, date, time. Okay, this is what we wanted, so this is hour. Okay, so that's PM, okay. Okay, hour, minute, second. Okay. Cool. And we want, okay, percent H, percent M, percent M. Okay, and that's working. Okay, so 03 is coming. Yeah, this is better. This is so much better. Okay, so we can moment of truth. Let's get rid of that. Let's go and save that. Let's go and print our data frame. Okay, so it's this is looking good. Align person that. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Okay, fantastic. That's fixed that. I'm going to change this to variance to targets as well, because that's what that column is meant to be called. So we fix that. Oh, that was a pain. I'm just going to go and tidy this up a bit so I get rid of this. I can get rid of this. Okay. Good spot. I expect we'll have that same issue in week 1. Did we do this in week 1? Yeah, we just converted it to a thing and did that. So we should, just for sake of everything, put that in there. I'm gonna put that there. I'm gonna give week 1 a run. Yep, so that's done. Data prepped. Okay. So we got there in the end. That was, yeah, definitely one to watch out for in the future. So that date time's always best to have this format because you never know when sometimes it will convert it to an American date versus an English one. Ooh, lesson learned there. Okay, we got there. So we've done prepping data now successfully in 3 different languages. So we've done a bit in Python here. We've used R, and we also used in SQL as well. So using common table expression to get through that. Okay, thank you for tuning in for this one. Hope this has been helpful to you, and I'll see you in the next one.